10 years ago, when I decluttered 95% of my things, I thought I was just simplifying my life. But the irony is that it actually made it quite a lot more complicated for a while. And in the interest of telling the full story, I wanted to make a video on the dark side of minimalism, dealing with the identity crises, guilt, shame, all the emotional stuff that comes up, and also give you some tips on how to move through it. Decluttering and minimalism can seem very much like a surface level thing. It can just seem like all you're doing is tidying or just, sorting out your things, organizing. But actually, there is a great deal of emotional weight to the things that we keep in our space, to the things that we've accumulated over the years, to the things that we've bought. When you think about the exchange that you make when you actually make a purchase, it's not just money for an item. That money is a representation of your effort, your time. It's deeper than money. So what we're essentially doing is going through the things that we felt were worth exchanging for hours of our life. And usually when we place so much value on an item, it's because it came with a story. It came with the idealized future that we wanted to make happen. It came because it reminded us of something. The things around us are so much more than just things. They are stories, they are symbols. And decluttering them comes with a form of grief as well. So the point I'm trying to make is that it is a lot more complex than simply getting rid of things. Number one, the over-identification trap. Part of decluttering is questioning your existing identity. And before I get into it, because this is an incredibly complex topic and I just want to talk about it for a couple of minutes, so I don't know how good a job I'm going to do, but it's worth saying that the journey of getting to know yourself is a lifelong journey, and you will never kind of go, oh, I know myself. I definitely know myself better now than I did 5 years ago, but that doesn't mean that I have ticked that box. I definitely know myself. But decluttering comes with these lessons of learning that the things you thought you were are not actually you. The way that you learned to define yourself isn't who you are. And this is especially true if you've learned to tie your worth to how you present yourself. So we reach this point where we know that we are not the clothes we wear. We know we are not the books that we own. We know we are not the house that we live in. Minimalism has taught us all these things. And then we're kind of left wondering, right, well, who am I then? What do I do from here? And I remember this so clearly. It was kind of dark, not in a depressive way, just a sort of lost way, a little bit listless, a little bit confused, because it felt like the things that I'd accumulated, the things I shared my space with were like little anchors. They sort of tied me to the reality of the world that I lived in. And when I realized that those anchors weren't really me and that they were just illusions of the person I hoped I would become or the person I thought that I was left wondering, who am I then? And it's not that I have the answer, because I remember the feeling. I think it was even in a YouTube video. You might remember it if you've been here for a while. I remember discussing this problem and saying, I don't actually have an answer for you, but I hope to one day. It's 8 years later? I don't have a definitive answer, but I will say that the answer is hidden somewhere in being and accepting. Being yourself, accepting yourself, and the lessons that come from that. Observing, noticing. It is deeper and richer than just saying, I am this. It's it can't be summed up in language. Words do not have the capacity to sum up who you are. The problem with this, other than it just being a little bit of a mind crazy old time, is that because you have adopted minimalism in some form, you might feel like, oh, well, I'm a minimalist then. I'm a minimalist, so I must do minimalist things. And all you've done then is you've replaced the label with a different label, and that's not really the way forward. We may feel like we have to prove ourselves by being minimalist and not owning very many things. Even if we wanted something, we might feel like we need to deprive ourselves or deny ourselves of things because we have over-identified with the term minimalist. We might fear being seen as a fraud because we have chosen to define ourselves as minimalist, and then we are maybe acting in a way that the general population wouldn't consider a minimalist way of acting. Minimalism shouldn't be just moving from the cage of overconsumption to the cage of minimalism. It's about being free. It's about feeling free. So that is something worth avoiding. But the whole process of just trying to find yourself once you've realized that you are not XYZ needs patience, it needs grace, it needs acceptance, it needs patience. I've already said patience. It needs 2 times as much patience. You will eventually find things to anchor you that feel like they give something back. It's a very useful way to learn lots of lessons about yourself, and you will be the better for it. However, it's tough. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. Number 2, dark side of minimalism, confronting your past selves. This is a very difficult thing because it's difficult to have compassion and patience for the person that you were, because the way we look at who we were is through the lens of what we know today. So we have to really look back at what we knew, how we thought, how young we were, how caught up in things we were, how at every step of the way we were always just trying our best. We were just trying to be ourselves and be happy and survive, and we were just trying to get by in a way that felt the best way it could. And in today's society, where so much of life involves stuff, involves buying things and owning things and decorating our home with things, we kind of have to unravel the person that we were and kind of go through every single stage of the person we were as we accumulated all these different things. And it is so hard to do that compassionately, because you think about the money you wasted or the time you wasted. You think about maybe how stupid you were for making those decisions, and it can be very easy to kind of look down on your past self in some way, to criticize that person, to feel like they let you down, like the person you are today. You feel let down by the decisions you made in the past, and that is just so unfair. And it's so important to remember that, because you only ever know what you know, and you can only ever do what you can do with that information. And treating your past self as you're decluttering your things with patience and grace and acceptance, and even a little bit of humor. Humor is a better way of dealing with it than, being cross with who you were. And this is genuinely a huge part of the therapy of decluttering, is that through going through these things, through coming to terms with the decisions you made and the person that you were, you learn to forgive who you were. And when you can forgive the person that you were, the person whose decisions and choices and behaviors made you who you are today, if you can forgive that person and love them and thank them for doing what they could do, that is incredibly healing. But it's tough, which is why that's in a video about the dark side of minimalism. It's tough. There are things you can do, though, that would ease it. Things like writing a letter to your past self, even just, handling the things that you bought and remembering who you were then, and just trying to look back fondly on that person. You might even do role play with, an invisible version of your younger self, like really talk to them, tell them what you've learned now, and explain to them why the way they thought wasn't necessarily the most helpful, but always with compassion and patience and love for that person, because they were trying their best, just as you are today. And hopefully, in 5 years' time, you will look back at the person you are today and say, oh my God, what are they doing? Why are they like that? Because that means you'll have grown that much. Number 3, the guilt spiral. Oh, you feel guilty for keeping things. You feel guilty for decluttering things. It's all just guilt. There's a real temptation in minimalism to be the perfect minimalist, especially if you are an academic high achiever or like the oldest daughter syndrome, that kind of thing. You want to do things right. You want to do them well. You want to be the best at it. And minimalism just isn't one of those things that you can be the best at. You might find yourself thinking things like, a real minimalist wouldn't do this, or a real minimalist wouldn't own that, or a real minimalist wouldn't think that. That's a very dangerous one to go down. But guilt is so closely related to shame. And if you are a person who is inclined to feel shame, you will almost look for opportunities to feel it. And if you are actively going through the process of decluttering, you might find that you are making so many micro decisions that the emotional burden of that is dragging you down. And when you think about, we tend to declutter and go to minimalism because we want to feel uplifted and lighter and more free, it might feel like you are doing it wrong. But when we feel guilty for something, it's usually because we are looking at our actions or ourselves from the perspective of an outsider, or we're thinking about how our decision fits into the grander scheme of things. And minimalism is largely about valuing who you are today in this moment, who you would like to be moving forwards, all with acceptance and compassion. So if you find yourself feeling guilt, you need to kind of readjust the lens a little bit. One of the things in minimalism and decluttering that gives me the most kind of energy and light and joy and goodness is remembering that the things in our life are ultimately just things, and there is so much more to this human experience that matters: relationships, experiences. So if ever I feel myself feeling guilty about decluttering something or keeping something, I like to remind myself that it's just a thing. Minimalism is ultimately about discernment and about awareness and about acceptance. And the best advice I think I have for feeling guilty while decluttering or at any point on your minimalism journey is just to take a little break, just to take a bit of time away from decluttering or thinking about minimalism and readjust your lens by doing something light and airy or something that you love. I feel like emotions like guilt and shame, they're very sticky emotions. You can't really just shake them off, but we can try and find a different lens to look at the situation from. I think one of the biggest things that changed for me in my minimalism practice is, well, exactly that. I now treat it like a practice. Because here's the thing, you can go through cluttered phases that don't look minimalist or don't feel minimalist, and you are still being intentional in some way about the things that you own. My flat is very difficult to keep ordered at the moment because I have a toddler, and I am just leaning into that. I've decided that I would rather spend my time playing with my daughter than I would tidying up after her all the time. So yes, I do tidy, but also sometimes it's a mess because I know in my values and my priorities that it's just not as important as spending time with her. And here's the crux of things. Minimalism isn't about just getting rid of things from your life. It's about making room for the things that really matter and also working out what those things are. And when you look at minimalism from that angle, I think it kind of simplifies a lot of the dark side of minimalism things I've talked about today. If any of this resonated with you, you might like my newsletter, which I send out every Monday morning. I should put the link in the description. And thank you so much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I shall see you in the next video. Sending lots of love. Goodbye.